Hello, everyone, and once again, welcome to the channel. And today I have a wonderful sister with us, all the way from UK, Nanelle Griselda. And she's actually a nurse in Ireland. And we
Northern Ireland.
Northern Ireland. Yes, yes. Thanks for the correction.
Yeah.
And we had an opportunity to actually interview her today. She has a YouTube channel called Nanelle Griselda. Very, very informative channel with a lot of products if you are in the healthcare environment. So without any further delay, sister, we're gonna get you to introduce yourself, where you're originally from, when you moved to UK, and back, so forth and so forth.
Okay, so my name is Nanelle Griselda. I'm a registered nurse, but I trained in Ghana, but I've been practicing as a nurse in the UK for about 5 years now, a little over 5 years now. And I'm a wife and I'm a mother and I'm a content creator as well. I make videos about life in the UK as an immigrant, how people can relocate to other places in the Western world, and opportunities for people to relocate abroad, and usually mainly for healthcare professionals. Yeah, once in a while for non-skilled or non-healthcare professionals. Yeah, but that's me. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So why UK? I think that was a question that first came to mind. You have places like Canada, US, Australia. Why did you choose UK?
So it's not like I had the options of all of them and then I decided to choose just UK. At the time, this is 2018, there was not much information
Mhm,
and YouTube was not what it is now. You would
mhm,
hardly find information about how to relocate to any part of the world as a nurse.
mhm,
I tried to actually relocate to the US, but I realized that the process was quite long. And then I also got to know about the process to relocate to the UK, and I
mhm,
realized it was very, very simple, straightforward, easy. And I knew that you could get after when if you start the process and all things being equal, you pass the necessary exams at the first attempt, you could get here within 3 to 6 months of starting the process, and you can start working immediately. However, even with the US,
mhm.
even the exam center, there was none in West Africa. You'd have to travel to India or South Africa just to write the exam. And the whole visa paperwork and everything could take you up to 2 years. And this was me after school in Ghana, desperate, no jobs. I mean, very, very bad. I was no jobs for a while. So
Mhm,
when I got to know about the UK opportunity and the
mhm,
fact that it was very fast, and I saw the past questions and I knew that this one I can clear it in a short while, I
mhm.
decided to just go for UK. I knew nothing about migrating to Canada as a nurse at the time, nothing at all. I knew
Right.
nothing about Australia. I knew nothing about New Zealand. I knew nothing about Ireland.
Mhm.
The only one that I knew was UK and US, and UK was much simpler and faster. And I was desperate to travel, so I decided
Wow.
UK. Yeah.
Wow. Do you have any regrets moving to the UK? That's the first part of the question. And the second part is, how was the first year for you moving there as a nurse?
So obviously now that my mind is opened and I know the various pathways, if I knew then all that I know now, I think I would have made the U as my first choice. And
Right.
one of the reasons is because over here when you come here after 5 years, I have just gotten my permanent residency. However,
Wow.
my counterpart who went to the US on the is it the EB2 or the EB3 visa, they got the um permanent residency the same week that they went. And then
Wow.
in the UK, yes, as a nurse, you qualify together, not you alone, you and your dependent, your
Wow.
spouse and your children. And
Hmm.
over here as well, you are restricted. You have to work for the employer that sponsored you.
Hmm.
And then if you want to do an extra job, usually it is only extra 20 hours per for a second employer. And then also it has to be a nursing job, like that same job that you came here with. But if
Hmm.
you are in the US, you're not restricted. You can start dealing in cars. You can start dealing in other things. So even at a point, I was afraid that leaving the YouTube that I was doing, which is not
Hmm.
necessary, would affect my visa because they have
Wow.
yes. So that's how restricted it is. You cannot say that you want to go and work in as a cashier in a grocery store for extra
Hmm.
cost. Like it's very restrictive. And then finally,
Wow.
when you are here for 5 years and then you want to apply for your permanent residency,
Hmm.
I alone paid £3,300. So imagine if my family we had like maybe my spouse and four kids. Imagine how
Mhm.
much I'm going to pay. When people are getting it for free in the US the same week that they attend, and they are nurses like me. So some of these things, and then obviously, UK. When you consider Europe and most of the other Western parts of the world,
Mhm. Mhm.
UK, the salary for nurses is one of the least or the lowest in Europe.
Wow.
So yes, so if I knew all these before, I'd have taken my time and probably gone through the US process. But
Mhm.
regardless, I've at a time that I was desperate. This place really helped.
Yes.
I got a job.
Right.
The relocation process was not
Mm.
so difficult,
Mm.
and they accommodate most of the time. They're accommodating, and this place is safe. I've
Mm.
learned, I've been able to work here with my family. Stay here. I
Mhm.
got my husband joined. Now I have a son as well.
Mhm.
So it's okay. But like I said, if I knew then, yeah.
Yeah. So basically, what you were saying is that if somebody is out there somewhere in Africa, India, wherever they are, and they have a choice between Canada, US, and UK, they should look for other options.
Well, I'm saying that, like, do your research well and then know what you want. There are some people that, regardless of everything that I've said, just
Mhm.
because of the gun violence in the US, they are not going to choose the US. They will
Mhm.
definitely choose the UK, even if it's less pay, even if they
Mhm.
have to pay over £10,000 for their family for permanent residency application, with
Mhm.
all these things. Some people do not care. So it depends
Mhm.
on what you want and
Mhm.
what you are willing to sacrifice and what you're looking for.
Mhm.
So yeah, you do your research well and know that, check all the requirements for all the countries and see the one. But what is usually happening these days is that people are using the UK as a stepping stone to other countries. You know,
Okay.
yeah, they come here because the process can be a bit faster than the other countries, and then they do
Mhm.
their process to Canada, they do their process to Australia, they do their process to the US. And this year alone, I have about 6 friends that have passed their US RN NCLEX and then are leaving. Some have already left, and some are in the process of
Wow.
leaving. So now
Wow.
it's becoming very common for people who just come in here and then they start
Mhm.
to, because obviously when you are here, you can now afford to do the other paperwork and then the
Right.
exams for the
Mhm.
US because it's a bit costly. And
Mhm.
over here, there's a center here where you can write the NCLEX in London. So
Mhm.
now they use this place as just a stepping stone to go to other countries. But who knows? You can come here as well, and then you love the place and you want to stay. So it's
Mm.
just make sure you have all the information for all the other countries and make an informed decision. Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm. And how is the working environment in UK as a nurse? I know in the Western world it could be very fast paced, very tedious, but in the UK, can you brief us or walk us through the working environment working as a nurse?
So for me, the employer that sponsored me when I was in Ghana, that's the same employer I'm still working with for over 5 years now. So
Mhm.
I, even though I have worked in other facilities, I have not worked there as a permanent staff. Okay.
Mhm.
So I've
Mhm.
only been working for my employer, which is a private employer.
Mhm.
So because I really don't like switching. But
Yeah.
for those that are in the government, the NHS, these times what they are complaining about is the nurse to patient ratio, because obviously you know that the UK
Mm.
has a massive nurse shortage,
Yeah.
and the nurse to pay, and then obviously because as well healthcare in the UK is free, so somebody
Mhm.
wakes up with a pimple on the cheek and then they are the A&E, so now it's like there's a lot of stress on the
Mhm.
nurses, yeah,
Mhm.
because of the ratio and
Mhm.
the waiting list and all that. So that will be the current situation now. However, I would say that they make the process when you first come, how to
Mhm.
integrate into the nursing fraternity or the nursing body in the UK is a bit because they've done it so many times. It's a bit easy. I mean, when
Mhm.
you come, you start training for your practical exam. When you come, even though you
Mhm.
start several exams in Ghana or wherever you are coming from, you have
Mhm.
to do an OSCE exam, which is a practical exam where you have 10 stations. Some stations, a real human being who's your patient and want to see how you are
Mhm.
treating this patient based on
Mhm.
the questions that you have.
Mhm.
So when you come, they start preparing for this exam. They have orientation, and they'll take you through the whole process. So it makes integrating into the system quite easy.
Mhm.
Um, Another thing is the cost of living. The nurses are have been striking in the UK
Mhm.
almost this year. Has been very bad, and it's
Wow.
because of salary. Yeah, so that is the
The environment. Yeah.
environment. But for
Yeah.
private sectors, obviously, private sectors, we do get paid a bit more than what the government pays those in the NHS. But obviously, we do not have as much benefit. For
Yeah.
instance, when I was on maternity leave, the amount I was making, it was way less than what my counterpart in the government was making. And for
Mhm.
my maternity, if I call in sick or if I say my son is sick and I can't come to work, I lose money. But those
Mm.
in the NHS, they will be paid. So those are what you have to those are those who when I say NHS, I mean the national health system in
Right.
those
Right.
the government work.
Right.
So
Right.
those are the
Pros
pros
and
and
cons.
cons
Yeah.
of working
Yeah.
for yeah.
Yeah. Can you touch a little bit on the salary? I know you have kind of mentioned about it in terms of the pay band, which I hear all the time. Can you walk me through the pay bands in the UK?
Okay. So in the UK, if you are working for the NHS, they have what we call the national pay scale that they use.
Hmm.
Okay, so the nursing ranks in the UK is graded in bands. So we have from band 1 to band 9, where
Hmm.
band 1 is the least and then band 9 is the highest.
Okay.
Usually, if you are straight from school or you are an international nurse coming to work, you are started as band 5. But
Okay.
as let's say you apply for promotion and you don't just automatically jump to the next band because of experience.
Hmm.
You have to see a vacancy for, let's say, a band 6, and then you
Hmm.
apply, and maybe based on your interview, how you perform in the interview, and then maybe on your CV and what's your experience, they
Hmm.
can now upgrade you. So usually, the band ones are, let's say, the cleaners. They are, although they are not like nurses, they are also paid, but because they work in the NHS, they
Hmm.
work like they are considered, let's say, band ones. Okay,
Hmm.
but they're not like qualified nurses. If you are straight from school, you start at band 5. If you're an international nurse, you start at band 5. So the
Hmm.
band 1, band 2, band 3 will be like cleaners, and let's say band 4 will be the next assistants and all that.
Hmm.
You understand? So let me start um with band 5. So band 5, if you are entry level, you are starting with about £28,407 in a year,
Hmm. Hmm.
8,400, and
Wow.
after yeah. And then after 2 years, you can become, even though you are band 5, we have entry level, we have intermediate, and then
Hmm.
we so after 2 years, it can raise to about 30,000 a year. And then
Hmm.
after that, the top one, the limit is 34,000, about 34,500 a year.
Hmm.
So band 6 is obviously higher, where the starting is 35,392. Band
Hmm.
7 is walking home with about £43,700 a year.
Hmm.
Band 8A is about 50,000 and 952. And then
Hmm.
band 9, the highest of all, they are walking home with almost £100,000 a year. And this
Hmm.
is on a 37.5 hour per week contract and
Hmm.
is not including overtime. So
Hmm.
this is roughly how much.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So in terms of dollar terms, I know I'm gonna kind of pick on you a little bit on your video if US was overrated. So when you talk about this band level in terms of the dollar amount, what is the comparison with the US or Canada or Australia? I know you have mentioned that it's one of the lowest pays, but in terms of dollar amount, what is the comparison here?
So obviously the pound is slightly higher than, but I think that in the US, it is widely different. I mean, a nurse in Maryland is
Hmm.
what a nurse in Maryland is getting is totally different from what a nurse in California is getting. So
Yeah.
it's a bit difficult to really, really compare. But for
Mm,
the most people that I have spoken to, I think they're walking home with, let's say, $90,000 or
mm,
let's say a year, or 70, $80,000 a year. But the
right.
fact that the cost of living in the US is slightly higher in terms of rents
Mm,
and or mortgage, and then cost of items, and then the bills is slightly higher in the US, in my
mhm.
opinion. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. And so definitely if anyone would like to come to UK, would you really encourage them to come? I know you kind of touch a little bit on it. Would you really encourage them to come? Is it worth it? It's not worth it.
Well, it depends on what category of visa you're coming on. If you're coming to work as a skilled worker on a skilled worker visa as a nurse, you can come and then see it for yourself, experience
Mm,
it, and if you want to move, you can move.
mm,
Um, But like, let's say if you want to come on a as a carer or as a healthcare assistant or a nurse assistant,
Mhm.
come from next year spring. If you're coming, you can no longer come with your husband or your partner. You can no longer come with your kids. So is it really worth it?
Mhm.
For that one, rather, I'll look for other countries that will permit me to come with my, or come here as I process to go to another country, because obviously you cannot live without your family. So it
Mhm.
depends on what you're coming to do here, and then it depends on your situation as well. But I would say come. I'm here, right? So I would say come. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Just a few questions though. In terms of, I mean, you kind of touch a little bit on the cost of living, right?
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. How's in the UK in general though for like young people coming in? Is it a very an environment where people can really succeed in terms of real estate and everything like that? Is it conducive for individuals?
At the moment, it's a bit difficult. But it depends on where you live in the UK.
Hmm.
If you live in the most some of the very expensive part, they will tell you that, oh, that you get some extra money based on where you live, but it's not that much. If you
Hmm.
look at how much nurses in London are earning and how much I am in Northern Ireland, which is like way like an hour flight to London, and
Hmm.
I'm actually closer to Ireland, the country, more than I am to England or London. Okay,
Hmm.
and I can drive from here to Ireland itself, but I cannot drive to London because
Yes.
we are on water. It's like an island. So,
Yes.
but it's considered UK because it's not Ireland.
Mm,
I
I
hope you
see.
understand.
No, I get it. I get it. Yeah.
You can actually
Yes.
make it based on your based on, I think one major factor will be where you are living. I
Hmm.
have I when I was in now my husband and I, we own our own house, but prior to
Yes.
owning this house, we were in a two-bedroom apartment paying £500 a month, right? Initially it was
Okay.
even 195, later it was 525. And people are living in the same size in London paying 1,500. That's times three.
Mm,
Okay. And meanwhile, our salary difference is not even that much, maybe extra £200 or something, or
hmm.
even so you ask yourself if it's worth it. We were able to save a lot here because
Hmm.
of some of the because we are here. So I think
Hmm.
choose wisely. Don't be so desperate to go to London because you've heard it or you've seen it on TV.
Hmm.
Explore the outskirts places and places that you can save. Okay,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
if you are in one or any of those places, you can actually save more and then achieve more. And obviously, you have the option of doing overtime, or depending on your visa category, maybe you can do a side hustle, start your own business, and then yeah. So it depends on your mindset and what you want to achieve and how determined you are. You can still make it. Yeah.
Hmm. And in terms of Ghana, though, I know you've been here for 5 years now in UK. Any plans for Ghana in terms of what you have learned, trying to bring it back home? What are the long-term plans for you?
With my plans for Ghana, I'm part of a group called GDNA, Ghana Diaspora Nursing Alliance.
Okay.
Right, yeah. They focus mainly on nurses, right? But it's about how we can give back to Ghana, right?
Right.
And
Right.
then this is recognized by all the universities in Ghana, the Ghana Nursing Association, the Ghana Nursing and Midwifery Council, all the stakeholders in Ghana are they have fully accepted this. It's registered in the US, and even
Hmm.
this January they're having a gala, fundraising gala for in Ghana and other things, and
Right.
um, um, so we want to be able to go. And when you are part, if you want to go back to Ghana to practice, they'll make it easy for you. And then
Hmm.
if you want to donate items to Ghana as well, it's just to help Ghana, right? So I'm
Right.
already in that, okay. And then as to whether I'm going back to Ghana anytime soon, I don't know yet.
Hmm.
Hopefully, through GDNA, I'm sure I'll be able to do my best. Yeah, yeah.
Hmm. Excellent. And any last word for your audience that are watching you, whether in healthcare or non-healthcare?
In terms of if they want to relocate, or in terms of what?
Just
Oh,
general advice, whether whether they want to travel or they don't want to travel. What would you say based
so
on your experience?
yeah, if they want to travel, I would say that they should go for it. They should make sure they are doing it the right way. And I know that these days in Ghana, there are so many connection men. You see a qualified nurse who is very experienced, very skilled, but so desperate, maybe because they have not passed the required IELTS score, they think there's a way to maneuver themselves here and then
Mm.
still practice. They pay £10,000, they are paying huge sums of money. They come here and then there are no jobs. I've seen so many people that are desperate. Even some of them, the people that brought them here have been arrested by the UK government. I'm talking about Ghanaians in the
Wow.
UK. There's so
Wow.
many of such stories now. It's just too much. See,
Wow.
I came here not paying a dime.
Mm.
Even when I came here, my IELTS exam, they took my receipt from Ghana, they converted it, and they gave me back my money. They refunded.
Nice.
That's how desperate they are. And there are
Mm-hmm.
still employers doing that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
My visa, I don't even know how much it cost. My ticket, I don't know how much it cost. Even when
Mm-hmm.
I get accommodation for like 2 months or so free of charge.
Mm-hmm.
And then the training that they took me through, they gave me about 8 months to pay. And if
Mm.
you have your knowledge, if you know these things, that it is illegal. Actually, it is stated on the gov.uk website. It is
Mm-hmm.
illegal for you to charge any healthcare professional coming here. They are so desperate, they want to make it so easy. So there's supposed to be no fees at all for healthcare professionals moving to the UK. But
Mm-hmm.
because of lack of knowledge and people being so desperate, they are rather paying them. Meanwhile, you are an asset to them. So
Mm.
very vigilant and do your homework well, do your checks well.
Mm.
Watch videos like mine that will give you the true information, and
Yeah.
then come here, easily without having to sell your family's land and all that. You are skilled, they need you. Okay,
Mm.
so make sure you are relocating the right way. Because
Mm.
when you come as well, if anything should pop up on your documentation, you realize you did not come here or you came here through fraudulent means, it
Mm-hmm.
can have a huge impact on your immigration. You can even be deported. And
Yeah.
several people have gone through that. So just be careful. Do not
Mm.
pay money to anybody to come. Come here
Yeah.
the right way, the legal way. Yeah.
Yeah. But also, is it easy to find an employer though? Because from the way it sounds, is it an easy to find an employer to kind of employ you from Ghana straight to UK?
So now it's a bit difficult than my time, right? Because now they brought what we call red list countries and they put Ghana on this red list. So
Mm.
at the moment, there's communication between the Ghana government and the UK government to take Ghana off the red list, but it's still there. This red
Mm-hmm.
list is the WHO that brought it up. They
Mm.
are saying that there are some 47 countries. I think they've added five more countries or so, making it like 51 or so, 52. Now they are
Mm-hmm.
saying that these countries, they need healthcare professionals even more than the UK, so that the UK should not target them.
I see.
Okay, so it's making it look like, meanwhile, there are jobless people in Ghana. I was jobless. I was going for demonstrations. I was running from radio station to radio station, demanding that I'm posted by the government. And
Yeah.
my year group, we were over 6,000, and we
Wow.
were all in the house. And
Wow.
the year group before us, they had just been posted. So
Mm.
6,000 qualified nurses just in the house, desperate.
Yeah.
And even when you watch the news, Joy News, there are still nurses demonstrating every time they have not been posted. So I don't know why we were added to that red list. For the other
Mm.
countries on the list, I am not aware. And this is why when I was interviewed by BBC, I made it clear. I stated that um I was jobless. I was searching for a job. I could not get a job. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't know why Ghana is even on that list. So now
Mm.
to be on that list is a bit difficult. But the thing is that the list is saying that if you are on that list, you cannot use an agency because usually agencies facilitates the movement of people. You
Mm-hmm.
rather go to the employer yourself and apply, and
Mm.
you can still come. So
Mm.
now, but as we all know, agencies make it easier. For me,
Yes.
the agency, they even tell me for your interview, read here, read here, read here, read here.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
understand? So they make
Mm-hmm.
life so simple and easy for you. But now that you have to go to the company's website and apply, it's a bit difficult. But people
Mm-hmm.
are still coming every single day. But it's
Mm.
a bit tougher now. But don't give up. You can
I
still.
see.
There's a website called UK Tier Sponsors List or something. It's
Mm.
all the employers in the UK that have the permission to employ foreigners. When you
Mm.
go to that website, you can filter and then choose those in the healthcare sector and
Mm-hmm.
just go to their careers page and then just search for vacancies and apply. There are
Wow.
thousands of companies over there. So you
Mm.
should, you are not, if you don't give up, you definitely get one.